Hello viewers, it's very good day to you all. Let's consider and study the interactions of the living organisms with the environment. That is, every living organisms which are present upon this planet Earth, maybe they all green plants or animals of any type or microscopic organisms, every living being, as they live in their habitat, always they interact with each other. Living organisms and the environment in which they live are the two important non-separable factors. So every living being live in an environment in such a way that every living being can't live without the influence of various environmental factors, without the non-living things, the abiotic factors which are present in the environment. So all living beings directly or indirectly depend upon the non-living things or the non-living factors, abiotic factors which are present in the environment. So environment means what? Environment literally the surroundings. It consists of the different factors, the different climatic factors, namely the water, the soil, the air, the sunlight, the temperature, the pressure of the air, then moisture content of the air, the humidity, the pH of the soil, pH of the water. So different the minerals, different organic and inorganic nutritive substances which are present in the soil and the water also comes under the non-living things or the non-living abiotic factors. So every living being in order to live perfectly, they continuously or constantly always they interact, they live in such a way that in an both the living and the non-living things interact, they interdependent each other, interdepend upon each other. So every living being in an organism always live in the state of equilibrium state, or every living being live in an environment always in an equilibrium state. Equilibrium state means what? In such a way that maybe the plant or animal always it lives in a perfect balance with the different the environmental factors which prevails in the environment. So the entire planet Earth considered to be as the biosphere. It is the largest ecosystem. So ecosystems, the study of the ecosystem, it is very important because of the fact that let's discuss about ecosystem. This word actually includes the two different words eco and system. Eco means what? The environment. And the system means what? To discuss or to study. That is, it is a complex unit. The system means what? A complex unit. The living organisms and the non-living things together they form a biological complex. The unit can be termed as a ecosystem. It was a translate. It was translate for the first time who coined the term ecosystem to denote, that is, all living organisms, their habitat, their interdependency, interaction. So the study of interrelationships, interaction, interdependency of a living organism with that of the environment, can also be termed as a ecosystem. Ecosystem is a major ecological unit. It consists of all the plants, all the animals, all the microscopic organisms and their habitat in which they live. So, every living being, they exchange energy and the different materials between them. All living organisms continuously, as they depend upon the water, the soil, the oxygen, or the air, the temperature, the moisture content, they continuously exchange energy and as well as mutually, and they exchange the different materials between them. So ecosystem is a major functional fundamental basic unit of the ecology. Ecosystem can be termed as a basic fundamental unit of the ecology. It consists of all the living organisms, plants, animals and microscopic organisms and their habitat in which they live. So in this in this way, all the living organisms and the environment, they exchange an energy and the materials between them. Different environmental factors play a very significant role. All living beings cannot live without the environmental factors or the non-living components of the habitat in which they live. Every living being, they depend upon the non-living abiotic factors in which they live. As I already mentioned earlier, the non-living components of the habitat, it includes the water, the soil, the air, the pressure of the air, the environmental air, and the moisture content of the air, the pH of the soil, different organic and inorganic components of the constituents of the air, the soil, the water. So every living being, maybe the plant or animal or any of the microscopic organisms, they live in their habitat, in their respective the the habitats in such a way that continuously they interact with each other. The study of the interaction of different living organisms with the environment takes place. So they not only interact, they interdepend upon each other. So every living organisms depend upon each other. Depend upon each other means what? In relation to that of the environment. They depend upon the environment for the basic needs of their survival. So the concept of ecosystem, it was this particular, that is the translate, who for the first time used the term ecosystem. Ecosystems may be a very large or maybe a smaller. Ecosystems are again further divided into a land ecosystem or a terrestrial ecosystems and a marine or aquatic ecosystems. In a land ecosystems, maybe the big or land ecosystems or a terrestrial ecosystems actually consists of all the ecosystems of the earth that they are present on the land surface of the earth. That is, on the soil itself. Then the aquatic or the marine aquatic ecosystem includes the freshwater ecosystems and the marine water ecosystems. Freshwater ecosystems, good examples for the freshwater ecosystems are the rivers, the ponds, pools, ditches, shallow water bodies, then the open well, even some of them may be artificially made ecosystems, such as aquarium. Aquarium may also be considered to be as a man-made the freshwater ecosystem, or the maybe the marine water. If we put a marine water in it, it can also be act as a marine water ecosystem. So marine water ecosystems may be the oceans, the large oceans, or the sea, okay, or sometimes a lake containing a salt water, considered as a marine water ecosystems. Ecosystems may be a larger or a smaller. Sometimes the spacecraft also considered as a man-made ecosystem. So sometimes single drop of the pond water considered as a good example for the ecosystem. So every ecosystem consists of the two important factors, that is the biotic factors and the abiotic factors. Biotic factors includes all the living organisms which are present in which are there in an ecosystem, and abiotic factors includes all the non-living things. Okay, every ecosystem, it may be the land ecosystem or a terrestrial ecosystem, and aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystems are again two types: freshwater ecosystem, marine water ecosystem. It may be the larger ecosystem, very large, very wide the ecosystem, or it may be the very small ecosystem. Open well is also one of the good the freshwater ecosystem. The reservoirs, the running water bodies like the rivers, then the reservoirs, then the ponds, pools, then ditches, then the lakes are the good examples of the freshwater ecosystem. Sometimes a part of the large water body also considered to be as one of the ecosystem. Sometimes a large ecosystem may consist of number of micro ecosystems or a small ecosystems. Okay, macro ecosystems, micro ecosystems are many itself. Sometimes coal dung can also be act as a ecosystem. It may consist of different living things in it, and whatever the living things which are present in the coal dung, they may continuously react, interdepend upon each other, and continuously they make interaction with the abiotic factors of the non-living things. Okay, so the spacecraft, take for example, the entire city also considered to be as a man-made or artificial ecosystem. Cropland also comes under the artificially made the ecosystems. Ecosystems may be natural ecosystems or the man-made or the artificial ecosystems. Every ecosystems consists of the two important factors, that is biotic factors and abiotic factors. Biotic and abiotic factors. Biotic factors. Biotic factors includes all the living things, all the living organisms, and the abiotic factors includes non-living things, non-living living components. Okay, biotic factors are biotic factors. All the living organisms means what? The plants, animals, and microscopic organisms, or the microbes, and as well as the viruses. The non-living things: the air, the water, the soil, the sunlight, sunlight, then the temperature of the environment, the temperature, the pressure, the air pressure, the moisture content which is present in the environmental air, moisture content, then the pH value of the soil or the water, the pH, organic and inorganic constituents or the components of the soil, the water, okay. All these considered as a non-living components, abiotic factors, okay. Biotic factors, plants, animals, microscopic organisms. Plants, maybe the lower plants, maybe the algae, fungi, okay, maybe the higher plants, higher angiosperms, higher the flowering plants, all autotrophic green plants, all autotrophic photosynthesizing the green plants, and the animals, vertebrates, invertebrates, all different types of animals, that is fishes, then amphibians, then the snakes, then the reptiles, then the birds, like that. All the animals, the microbes, microscopic organisms, bacteria, viruses, then unicellular protozoans, all these. So every living components of the ecosystem, as they depend upon the non-living things, so actually they form a ecological unit known as a ecosystem. Okay, ecosystem is the basic structural unit of an ecology. It includes the living things and non-living things and their interaction, interdependency and interrelationship. It is very important. The study of the interaction, interdependency and interrelationship of all the living organisms and their environment can also be termed as a ecosystem and ecosystem. So different ecologists, they have defined ecology in their own words differently. So ecosystem, as it includes the biotic and abiotic factors, let's discuss what are the different biotic factors. Again, all the biotic factors, including plants, animals, and microscopic organisms, are in order to understand their interaction, interrelationship, and interdependency, how the different living organisms actually live there in their natural habitats, in their natural environmental conditions. How they live there, what is the role of the different living organisms. So in order to understand their interaction, interrelationship, interdependency, their role, each and every living organisms play their own role in the environment, so it is otherwise termed as the ecological niche. Okay, every living organisms are very species. It may be the microscopic organism, or it may be the large plant or a tree or any of the animal. Their number, their role, their existence, it is a must in an ecosystem. Okay, so ecosystem, all in an ecosystem, it may be the forest. Forests are of different types. Evergreen forest or deciduous forest or any other grassland. These are the good examples for the terrestrial ecosystems or the land ecosystems. A forest ecosystem, it includes its own biotic and abiotic factors. A grassland ecosystem, it includes its own biotic and abiotic factors. A pond, take for example a nearby pond, as it is one of the freshwater ecosystem. It has got its own biotic components and abiotic components. That is the biotic factors and abiotic factors. Whatever the biotic factors and abiotic factors which are present in a particular ecosystem may not be present in another ecosystem. And whatever the environmental factors or the environmental conditions that are prevailing in one particular ecosystem may not be present in another ecosystem. Okay, so the energy and the transfer of the energy and the materials and their exchange, the materials and their exchange takes place maybe from one ecosystem to another ecosystem. So there is no stable ecosystem exists always. Okay, a stable ecosystem is the one in which it is a self-sustained, stable ecosystem. Whatever the energy which is produced there, or whatever the food materials which are produced there, it must be utilized within the ecosystem. It may not be transferred to the other ecosystem. So in the nature, usually take for example a bird. Bird, as it feeds upon the insects and some other plant, the fruits and then seeds, it may fly off and goes to the other ecosystem. Okay, in this way it carries it carries means what? It becomes responsible for the transfer of the energy, the nutrients from one ecosystem to another ecosystem. So in this way, stable ecosystem do not always exist anywhere else. Structure of the ecosystem, it includes the biotic factors and the abiotic factors. The biotic factors, in order to understand the role of the each and every living organisms which are present in a particular ecosystem, all biotic factors are arranged, or in other words categorized. All organisms are split into three different the categories: the producers, then consumers, and the decomposers, like this. Here, the producers. All green plants are considered as a producers. All green plants. Every green plant, as they are exposed to the sunlight, they photosynthesize. They prepare their own food material. All autotrophic green plants are considered as a producers, are called as a producers, as they prepare their own food material with help of the sunlight. So photosynthesis is a biological reaction in which in which all the pigment containing photosynthetic pigment containing green plants and other plants, they prepare their own food material with the help of the inorganic raw materials such as carbon dioxide, water. In presence of the sunlight, they convert the inorganic raw materials into organic compound, that is a glucose. So they also release oxygen as a byproduct of their photosynthesis. Water molecule is also formed. Okay, by one equation we can understand the biological reaction, that is the photosynthesis. Anyhow, photosynthesis, it is one of the biological reaction. Photosynthesis occur in all the green plants. All green plants are producers. All green plants are producers. It is again sometimes as they produce the energy or the food materials, some ecologists called the green plants as a transducers, okay, transducers. As they transduce the solar radiant energy into chemical energy. So during the photosynthesis, conversion of the solar radiant energy into chemical energy takes place. That is, the conversion of inorganic gases, carbon dioxide, liquid water into solid, the glucose or the carbohydrate takes place. So therefore, we can call all the green plants into transducers. All green plants are producers. All autotrophic green plants are called the producers. One of the biotic factors. And consumers, nothing but the living organisms. especially the living organisms which feed upon the green plants are termed as the consumers. Are actually speaking, these are heterotrophic organisms. They never photosynthesize, they never prepare their own food material. They depend upon the green plants, or are called the consumers. Consumers are again number of types: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. The primary consumers are chiefly the herbivorous animals, as they directly feed upon the plants for their food and energy, as they directly depend upon the green plants. All herbivorous animals are considered as a primary consumers. Primary consumers. So some animals, as they depend upon the herbivorous animals for their energy and food, as they eat the flesh of the animals, some of the animals considered as a secondary consumers. That means what? The animals which prey or which feed upon the primary consumers are termed as a secondary consumers. It may be any of the carnivorous animal. It may be the fox, or it may be the lion, or the cheetah, or any of the such a the organisms, or comes under the secondary consumers. The tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers not only they feed upon the secondary consumers, they may also consume the primary consumers, like that. Tertiary consumers also called as the top carnivores. Okay, these tertiary consumers, take for example a man or any other animal, okay, comes under the tertiary consumers. Consumers are heterotrophic organisms. They depend for their energy and nutrients, other organisms are called the consumers. They consume energy by preying upon the other organisms, are called the consumers. Okay, the decomposers. On the other hand, the decomposers decompose the organic material which is present in the environment or the any habitat. The decomposers take for example unicellular microscopic bacteria. Some unicellular microscopic bacteria, especially the scavengers, the scavenging bacteria. Then some unicellular algae, unicellular fungi, not unicellular algae, unicellular fungi comes under the decomposers. The decomposers, as they decompose the dead body of the plant and then animal, as they convert the organic complex organic nutrients which are present in the dead body of the plant, animal, or any other organism into a simpler forms, into a very simple the components termed as the decomposers. Okay, all biotic factors are of three different types: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Okay, so here the producers, consumers, decomposers, they continuously interact, interdepend, and interdepend upon each other for the energy and for other nutrients and other the materials. Okay, in this way, all these living or biotic factors cannot exist without the abiotic factors, without the abiotic components of the habitat. It includes the water, the soil, the air, the pressure of the water, pressure of the air, the pH of the water or the soil, whatever the nutrients, maybe the carbon dioxide or maybe the nitrogen compounds or any other carbonates, the amino acids or the whatever the fatty acids or any of the inorganic and organic nutrients which are present in the habitat comes under the abiotic factors. Like this, every ecosystem, it includes the two important components, the biotic components and the abiotic components. Okay, every ecosystem has their own biotic factors and then abiotic factors, as I already mentioned. Whatever the biotic factors which are present in one particular ecosystem may not be present in another ecosystem. So ecosystems may be very small, very small. Sometimes a single drop of the pond water considered as a good example of the ecosystem, that is a freshwater ecosystem. Sometimes a very large entire the grassland also comes considered as a terrestrial or a land ecosystem. Okay, in this way ecosystem, the study and the study of the interrelationship, interaction, interdependency of different biotic factors which exist there, how the different biotic factors actually exist in equilibrium state. That is the very important. So the study of the structure and the function of ecosystem can be done by taking into our consideration one such a good example. Take for example, let's consider a pond. Pond is a good example for the freshwater ecosystem. Nearby a pond, a small pond, a freshwater pond. Okay, a freshwater pond. I will represent representation of, this is the representation of the pond itself. A pond consists of the water. Okay, suppose that this is the level of the water which is present in the pond. Okay, the shallow water region, that is the banks of the banks of the pond. This is nothing but what I am showing you now is the shallow water region of the pond. This is the floor, that is the bottom of the pond. Okay, the bottom of the pond, and again the shallow water region. Okay, the representation of the pond itself. Pond is a good example of the freshwater ecosystem. It consists of the water. Okay, it consists of the water, and other than this, here in the pond ecosystem, not only the water is present, but also let's consider what are the different biotic and abiotic factors exist in a pond. Okay, in this the pond ecosystem, the sun is one and then only the solar is the source of the energy, that is the natural source of the energy. Sun is one and only the natural source of energy. Okay, natural source of the energy. It provides energy to each and every living beings which are present upon this planet. It may be the plant, animal, or any other microscopic organism. Every living organisms get their energy indirectly or directly from the sun itself. Sun, okay, the air. This is the sunlight. Sunlight is there. The air is there. The water is there. The soil is there. So, air, sunlight, water, soil, the temperature, okay. So the pressure of the air, the moisture content of the air, the moisture, that is the moisture content of the air, that is the humidity of the air. All these are abiotic factors. Okay, the water, the soil, the pH of the water, is very important. If a slight alteration of the pH of the pond water occur, it definitely affect the existence or the survival of all the aquatic living organisms, maybe the plant, animal, or any other aquatic animals. Okay, So these are present. Some of the phytoplanktons may be present. They may float upon the surface of the water body. Some of the free floating plants, some of the rooted free floating plants may also be there. Okay, some of the amphibian plants like this, amphibians, submerged plants. Okay, like this, submerged plants. Okay, some suspended plants, some water suspended plants, and aquatic animals. Take for example the fish. Okay, fish will be present. Fish, some insects such as the prawn, may also be present there. Prawn, or sometimes the frog. May also be present. Frog, fish, prawn, different aquatic animals may also be present. And this soil may also contain number of the decomposers. Decomposers may also be present on the surface of the water even. Okay, the bacteria, the fungi, unicellular protozoans, other the decomposing living organisms. So this is the representation of the pond. So the pond ecosystem, it consists of the biotic factors and the abiotic factors. Biotic factors and the abiotic factors. Biotic and abiotic factors of the pond. Biotic factors, it includes again the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. Like this, producers, consumers, and the decomposers. Whatever the green plants, maybe the free floating plants, or free floating rooted plants, or amphibious plants, the submerged plants, or suspended plants, all the water plants which are present in the pond considered as a producers, as they photosynthesize, as they prepare their own food material. All green plants which exist there in the pond comes under the producers. And the consumers that they depend upon the producer plants. Consumers are of three different types: primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So all these different consumer animals may also exist in the pond ecosystem. And the decomposers, such as the bacteria, the scavenging bacteria, and other decomposing the fungi may also be present. Okay, so the biotic factors of the pond and abiotic factors of the pond, it includes here the air, the moisture content of the air, the temperature of the environment, the pressure of the air, the environmental air, the sunlight, and the water and the soil. All these are abiotic factors. Every biotic or living components continuously they react with the nature, with the water, soil, sunlight, temperature, moisture, air, all the abiotic factors. The reaction of the all living organisms with their abiotic factors is known as, that is the ecosystem. The study of the reaction. Okay, that means what? Here, as the ecosystem contain their own biotic and abiotic factors, between the biotic factors of the ecosystem and the abiotic factors of the ecosystem, there is a continuous the reaction takes place. Continuous reaction takes place. As the biotic factors depend upon the environment, depend upon the abiotic factors, they never exist without the influence of the abiotic factors. So this completes the study of one of the good example of an ecosystem, the structure of the ecosystem. I shall continue in another class. Thank you.